Hello, my name is David Thompson, and I am here to announce my recently published book, Afterlife, Incredible, Irrefutable. And so I do want to first show you the cover of this book, which you can purchase on Amazon as a hardback, paperback, and Kindle. So we'll just minimize myself right now. And I want to show you the cover of the book first of all. Here we go. This is it here. Afterlife, Incredible, Irrefutable, Exposing Deception that Confirms Heaven. Now you might ask, did I have a near-death experience? Was I highly confirmed to have been dead for 10 minutes or 2 hours or whatever? No. So what gives me the credentials or the validation to be writing a book like this? I didn't get some degree from a seminary, did I? No, I did many years ago, from 1968 to 72, graduate from an interdenominational school called Prairie Bible Institute, which was the largest one in Canada at that time, and they didn't believe, many of them, in giving out degrees at that time and didn't have that kind of accreditation, so I just got a diploma. But that's not how a person is qualified. The gifts of God don't come from the institutions of man. Some of the greatest giftings that people have come without them going through some institution and getting some credential. So what qualifies me? Well, I would say the first thing is that I've been very sensitized to the spiritual realm because from my youth, at about just around 12 years old and on, I would go out in the woods and pray for an hour and a half. All my life, I have sought God in prayer, and these days, I pray a number of hours, a minimum of 2 hours a day, except on Sunday. And for years, I was doing it for 3 hours recently until I've been a little more busy on the books here right now. So now, usually it's 2 hours, plus spending a lot of time doing other things, meditating, and so on, and writing this book. Now, this book, the other thing that really gives me some credibility about writing a book like this is not only my sensitivity to the spiritual realm, but I had a very powerful open vision from God in 1975. I'm 74 years old right now. Very good health, biologically way younger than I am, because I know a lot about health and how to live healthy. I still do weightlifting and running, high speed up steep slopes, just to stress the heart for 30 seconds or more. Then you walk for a while and do it again 5 times. So I am someone that had a very powerful open vision. There was 3 other people in the room when this happened at 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 friends of mine. And one of the people was actually involved and participated in that open vision. And I'm not going to share all the details of that in this. This is not what this is for here. I will say that I did see the similitude of the face of Jesus Christ, as is described that Moses would see face to face. Not in his glory, I would have died. In fact, when I was looking at that face, I couldn't continue to look at it because I could feel it literally causing me to die because of the corruption that's in the human body. And so it was quite an amazing vision, and I could tell you the context of what brought it about and so on. And it's quite interesting, but that's not what I'm here for. But it did make me all the more sensitive to the spiritual realm. I have also been exposed to a tremendous amount of deception in my life. I'm talking about spiritual deception. And that's a long story, and I could write a lot of books about that. That's too much to go into. And I'm talking about many different kinds of deception. When I was young, I was very depressed because they were teaching about evolution. And I thought, well, that means there's no hope. And I was being depressed because I had already experienced being born again of the Spirit of God in a very real way. It wasn't because I heard a fancy message or anything. And that's another long story. But when the Spirit of God entered me and brooded upon me, it was like scales came off my eyes, and I began to weep for an hour, hiding myself in the toilet. When I came out and I looked at nature, it was like scales came off. I could see brightness and color and everything that just didn't seem to be there before. I was crying out for God to forgive me and to cleanse me at just a very young age. And so there is that. And there is the fact that I am a person that's very scientific and detailed, and my dad gave me books by top scientists of that time that had written in detail against the theory of evolution, exposing its mastery of deception. I spoke to a whole high school of 1,000 students when I was in grade 11 or something like that, against the theory of evolution and all the scientific evidence against it at that young age. And throughout my life, I have always sought to find very solid answers, to answer the skeptics, to show them that there is ultimate meaning and destiny, that you don't have to believe in some pseudoscience, which is what the theory of evolution is, without a doubt. It's been exposed as a mastery of deception. You can go and look at a book, a flip book I have for free on my site at ultimatemeaning.com, where I have many links to YouTube videos there exposing the deception of the theory of evolution, including something I've never seen written by anyone but myself that is very original thought that came by the gifting of God, by God's Spirit through me, as an amazing answer against the theory of evolution. But you can look at that in the flip book, because I want to concentrate on this book that I wrote on the evidence of the afterlife. Now, in the Kindle format, this book has many links, way more than the average Kindle book has, to YouTube videos that go to the specific time spot in that video, or time location in that video, when I'm discussing certain things. To verify what I'm saying, this is the best reference you have, when you can go straight to the exact location in a video where the person is saying it before your eyes. And so there's a lot of that in this book. A lot of links to very profound and amazing YouTube videos. This book also has a lot of secondary evidence that's exceptionally interesting, confirming the reality of the afterlife. And I will say that the afterlife is far more real dimension of existence than this physical dimension by probably many hundreds or thousands of times. It is way beyond anything of this physical dimension. One person that died described it briefly this way, that it was like we were 2D paper compared to 3D in our physical dimension. It was like we were just a vague dream compared to the reality of how much more real it was what they were experiencing when they died. And many people describe this. And so this ultra-real permanent realm, you experience an existence. I better not get carried away because I like talking about it. You have a body that's way more superior to this physical body, even when you die, that you shed. When they're in heaven, these are genuine Christians that have died. Like Dean Braxton, which was dead for almost 2 hours, highly confirmed to be dead by medical equipment and doctors. Wow. I mean, him and many others confirm these things. You can feel the ground. When you want to run on the ground, you can feel it just as real as running here, more real, because there's intelligence somehow even in your feet. You can decide to float slowly. You can go instantly by thought anywhere and be there instantly. When you take fruit from the trees, you can feel the juice running down your cheeks, and the taste is beyond anything that exists in this realm. Way beyond it. And you don't have to go to the washroom. No. It just permeates your whole body with energy and life and causes you to worship God all the more. So that's amazing. So I'm giving you a little foretaste, many wonderful things that are in this book. And I describe accounts of the afterlife from all backgrounds, all religious backgrounds, Hindu, Buddhist, for example, Eastern religion backgrounds. There's many accounts in detail of what they experienced compared to genuine committed Christians and others that aren't so committed Christians and others that are in the New Age or whatever your belief system is. Many atheists as well are mentioned in this book. Some that experienced hell are describing it in detail. That's described in this book. All highly referenced, much of it to YouTube videos, but also to many different books. So the Kindle book is really great. And in paperback, it's 368 pages. That's the total number of pages from the very first page to the very end, including, the bibliography, etc. And I give very thorough answers to very hard questions that you will not find in the best-selling Afterlife books that are the bestsellers. I've read them. They don't answer these things thoroughly. I do in this book. Because God's given me a gift of understanding and revelation. And my gifting isn't coming because I went to some institution and got knowledge in my head. My gifting is coming by the Spirit of God. So there's insights in this book that you're going to find amazing. And I put a few, statements on this book here, like, are there temporary realms of paradise or limited realms of paradise that are limited because of where those people are at when they die, that doesn't allow them to enter into the fullness of the ultimate realm of heaven? And so I point these things out because of what they state they experienced. I go to the exact locations, etc. There's a few Christians that say they saw life on other planets. One that I don't believe, that I exposed as a fraud. At least I believe from the evidence indicates that. I'm not the ultimate judge God is. I think the person is a really nice person in many ways. And I'm not going to, but I'm not polite. I don't say, oh, you terrible person. I say, well, you say this here and you say this here, and yet this is the evidence. So, and what you're saying doesn't fit with all the genuine Christians that were highly confirmed to be dead. And you say you got all these trips to heaven. We're to try, as Christians, those that say they're apostles and are not, and claim to be this and that. So I am, do some of that as well. This book is written from a Christian perspective. It defines truth in a very integral way and in depth, and makes a criteria that can be used by anyone to judge things. So it doesn't matter what religious background you are. When you use this criteria, you can come to certain conclusions because of the things they state they experienced, which I point out specifically with links that go there. I talk about reincarnation in depth, and I stayed on here exposing deception that confirms heaven. Actually, you don't. You can choose to enter a place of such pleasure, creative pleasure that ever enlarges in creativity forever and ever. It's the opposite of boring when you're in heaven. And heaven is described in great detail in this book. Not by just one person that I know, a number of people that are genuine Christians. And compared to others from other backgrounds and their experience and how much they were exposed to heaven and what they saw, whether it was Buddhist or whatever. And what do Buddhists experience when they die? And what do Hindus experience when they die? A lot of hard questions are answered in this book. And it ends up giving you the realization that you have ultimate meaning and ultimate destiny and purpose in your life, and that it is highly confirmed by very solid, objective evidence, and you can experience something very real and subjective of an intimate relationship with God. This book is exposing a lot of deception that comes out of people who have experienced the afterlife, and because they enter back into a very fallen realm where there's a lot of deception, and where the prominent aspect of the being of God that is projected upon this realm is judgment, because we see all the corruption which is the consequence of God that cannot condone what is corrupt. And so they tend to misinterpret things because they're in a realm that was so the opposite. But these are some of the things that are in this book. And so I highly recommend that you get this book to encourage you and your children that are living in a time in this world that is filled with such hopelessness and meaninglessness and corruption. Almost all the institutions of man have become corrupt. Now, I want to emphasize also that I have not only a website at ultimatemeaning.com where you can read that flip book, but if you want, you can see many video messages that I'm just beginning to do. I've been doing podcasts for some time that are prophetic, that I speak not out of some bunch of notes and stuff. I only cast lots to get 2 chapters from the Bible that would bear witness with each other with 2 independent applications, and meditate on them for only half an hour, and then I'm in a state of worship and allow the Spirit of God to speak through me what He is wanting to say at this particular time to those that are genuine Christians around the world and gather in worship. This book is for everyone. It's not just for Christians. There's many answers to many questions. From whatever your background is, you will be greatly blessed by reading this book. So that's all I'm going to share about. Thank you for listening to this wonderful presentation. I do have 2 other books, which you will probably discover when you go to this book. I have not tried to sell them. I am beginning to try to get advertising going for this book, but the other 2 are for Christians. One is God Headship and Body Invasion, which tells you everything you can do in your local assembly to not limit the fullness of the headship of Christ from inhabiting your local assembly with the presence of His glory. It's about 252 or more pages. Forget the exact number. I got a smaller book called Evolution, Delusion Solution, which is kind of like that flip book, but more in it, okay? It's on ultimatemeaning.com. So thank you for listening.